Well, I want to bring in now Michael Wolff, who is been reporting on this and has been mentioned in the Epstein files. He has graciously agreed to come on. Michael, thank you.
The star of the emails at the
Yeah.
moment, until they become bigger stars. But right now,
I'm glad. It's good to see that you have a. I should say it's interesting to see that you have a sense of humor about it because, you've been kind of getting raked over the coals a little bit. Do you agree with that?
yeah, I suppose. I mean, not my first time to the rodeo. I mean, it's been an interesting pattern over so much of what I've done that you do it, and then the criticism is you got too close. He wants to be an insider. Blah 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 blah. But usually I find everybody actually likes what the what I come out with, and I am, I think I have the right to insist at this point on the fact that nobody else wanted to talk about this. Nobody else wanted to talk about the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. I am the one who has been banging on about this, and finally here we all are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about people saying that you crossed the journalistic line and all of that, that somehow you were giving, sort of colluding or giving advice to Jeffrey Epstein and it was inappropriate?
I feel it's from many people, it is disingenuous. How do you think people get stories? How do you think people get into rooms where other people don't get in? And most of my colleagues have not gotten into this room. Actually, they often don't get into the rooms that I get into. How do I get into those rooms? Do I do it with a certain amount of, shall we say, ingratiation? Yes, I would say the formula is to suck up and spit out, because I don't think that there's anyone who has ever said that when I write something, it's overly nice, to say
Yeah.
the opposite.
Well, you have not been, I think you've been, well, you've been hard on Donald Trump in your books, obviously, right? The Fire and Fury, and it's not like you've gone easy on him, and it's not like you've gone easy
No,
on
I mean,
Jeffrey Epstein either.
I think we can go further. I think I have been one of the steadiest critics. I have been, again and again, 4 books at this point. And I think my view, which is also comes from being an insider's view. Remember, so Fire and Fury, I got into the White House in the first Trump administration for 7 months, sitting there. How did I accomplish that? Well, because I'm good at this job, and I was able to come out with an account, really the first account, an account that I'd probably argue set the tone for much of our understanding of the Trump White House.
So are you saying that people are seeing how the sausage is made and they don't like it or understand it? They just want the sausage.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also saying, and trying to level a level of criticism at my, I suppose, critics, or at my colleague critics, that there is a story here that other people should have gotten. This is a profoundly important story, the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And it has taken a very long time for people to focus on this, especially the traditional media. And actually, I'll make another point, which I think is interesting, is that this has been a story of an internet story, a story of social media. That's where this story has gotten its legs, partly, and obviously I've been involved with that. But the story has been muted at best in traditional media outlets, the media outlets that you and I know so well.
Why do you think that is, Michael?
Well, I would say two things. And again, the background, so I spent this time with Jeffrey Epstein beginning in 2014, then into when Trump began to run for president and until Epstein died in 2019. And in this, um, while I did this, I, spoke to Epstein on the record. I have, something on the order of 100 hours of audio recordings with Jeffrey Epstein. Those audio recordings over the past 6 years or so have been offered to virtually every significant media outlet and
Mm,
streamers. And also book publishers too. I mean, obviously, I am primarily a writer, and anyway, no takers at all. So, what's the reason? I think probably twofold. I think there is this idea of the ick factor. Jeffrey Epstein is too vile to let him be a witness to anything.
mhm,
His credibility is is something that the traditional media has been unable to cope with. That's probably part of it. But the second part of it is they're afraid. They're afraid of Donald Trump. They're on eggshells about dealing with him, reporting about him. Trump has said all along, this is a hoax. He continues to say this, obviously. Never met the guy, passed them once in the halls, that kind of thing.
mhm,
And 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 people, God knows why, because we ought to know that whatever he says, that the opposite from whatever he says is probably the truth. Nevertheless, they're afraid. I mean, certainly, in the second administration, every major media organization that crosses him gets sued.
mhm, mhm. Michael, I want to play something from a journalist, and just to get your response. And this is Tara Palmieri. She
I
posted
don't
the.
want to hear it. I don't want to
Okay,
hear it.
you don't
Not
want to.
not
Why not?
first thing. I think she's incompetent and an asshole, and I'm going to pass on that.
Okay. Well, she's saying that you should release all of
Yeah,
the
I
information.
know she doesn't know, and she's just a blah 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 blah. Forget about it. Let's not go there.
Okay. Well, let me ask you: do you think that you should? Is there information that you should release? You believe?
I have been the only one who has been releasing information. This is all fueled. Remember, so before the election, I released a set of recordings that had Jeffrey Epstein talking in detail about his relationship with Donald Trump. I actually expected, okay, the um, the world is going to pay attention now. Crickets.
Hmm.
And again, I mean, I've been on, um, I had a great deal of problems when my book about the campaign came out um, in February of this year. Great, I mean, the book went on the bestseller list and all that. There's no complaints, but it was almost impossible to get on television to talk about this book, and partly because Donald Trump was scaring everybody, was suing everybody. So I went on to social media and with some care. I mean, I had always in the past regarded social media as not a serious thing, but I sat down and have spent a considerable amount of time on it, with an enormous, and most of it often about Trump and Epstein, and with an enormous response to that. And as we've talked about before, the first lady recently threatened to sue me for what I had said about her relationship to Epstein, and then I turned around and sued her for the express purpose of being able to get her under oath and all of the people who knew Trump knew the Trumps in that period, and to explore their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So this idea that I have not released information is comes from people who themselves have no information. They just can blow smoke on this because they've done no reporting. They were not in the room. I was in the room.
Well, look, I wanted you to finish your statement, but I was taken aback a bit about what you said about Tara. I don't have that relationship with her. She's not here to defend herself. I don't think that she's an asshole, but those are your words.
Those are my words.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think that you should, do you think folks are saying that you should be subpoenaed by Congress or whatever? Do you agree with that?
Well, I think it's a terrible thing for you to say as a journalist that a journalist should be subpoenaed. I really take exception to you, and I'm going to let you.
I'm not saying that.
I'm going to let you but you're repeating this now, so I'm going to let you reconsider that and say that would be a terrible thing if you, a journalist, were subpoenaed by Congress. So I'm going to let you say that.
Well,
I'm sure you believe it.
No, I mean, but if I was subpoenaed by Congress, I would go and speak to them. I mean, but it would also depend on the situation, Michael. Let me finish.
Then you would
be wrong. It would depend on the situation for what I would be. If I had information that Congress needed, then yes.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of information. That's what I do. But I am a journalist. I would resist any effort by any governmental body to make me compromise my sources or to
that's a whole nother thing, Michael.
Well,
I'm not saying that you should compromise or give up your sources. You should protect your sources.
It's not yes. So that's why we don't appear before Congress.
Okay. Is there anything, before we move on, is there anything that you would have done differently, you think, in the email?
Not a thing. In what would you think that I should have done differently? I mean, now I'm on the hot seat, and you're fundamentally accusing me of something. I don't know what you're accusing me of, but you seem to be accusing me. Just tell me.
Stand by.
What would
I'm not
you think?
accusing you of anything.
Okay, well,
I'm asking you questions.
What would you think that I should have done differently, or that I might consider having done differently? Just tell me.
I don't know, but I would. I mean, it's by giving advice.
Don, if you begin a question by saying, "What would you have done? Do you think you should have done differently?" I said,
no, that's not what I said. I said, is there anything you would have done differently? And the answer is yes or no.
No, you must have had something in mind that I might have done differently.
I did not, I don't know. But I'll think about it now. I actually have not.
Don, we've talked a lot online and offline. You've never asked me before if there is anything that I might have done differently.
No, I don't think there's anything that's not. Well, I mean, Michael, I'm not going to ask you every single question as we've talked offline. I told you that.
I know. I'm just saying, if there is something that you think that I should have done differently, then just ask it, and I'll say yes or no. But I would be curious about what you think that might have been done differently.
If you could go back and change it, would you have given him advice on how to get leverage over Donald Trump?
First thing, let's talk about the nature of this so-called advice. I talk about the media business all the time. You talk about the media business all the time. It is our chatter in trade. This is what we talk about. This is what I talked about with Epstein, or what I would talk about with you. And the point about what to talk about with Epstein was, you got to make a relationship with somebody. That's how you get in the room. That's how you get the story. The fact that I talked about the media business, I mean, come on. This is like of no harm and negligible meaning, in fact.
Okay, Michael, listen. I've known you for a long time. We've known each other. I feel like I'm not trying to attack you, as I feel like that I'm being, pretty respectful, and I feel like you're awfully defensive about something a question that I
Well,
just asked you.
you
I
know,
don't, and I don't think you should feel that way.
I mean,
I know that I can't
I'm,
tell you how to feel.
I mean, I'm partly defensive, if that's what I am, because we had a discussion before this. You're now putting me in the position that Piers Morgan put you in after telling me that we wouldn't have this discussion, because I said, Jesus, I'm just really, I have nothing more to say. I'm tired of this. And I also feel that you're being disingenuous. You know how journalism works. You've been around, you are a journalist. You've been around journalists your entire career. You know what it takes to get inside track on a story.
And
And you know the process of, you've booked guests endlessly. How did you book those guests? By, most often, really sucking up to them. You got to get the relationship before you can get the story. So that's why I'm not, I'd say I'm not defensive. I'm irritated.
all
Come
right.
on, you're not a numbskull, and you know the score, and you know what we do, and you're just now pandering, really.
Okay, Michael. Okay. I imagine it's been, you should be irritated. I mean, I respect that you're irritated. I understand that. It was considering the last couple of days, but what we talked about, I said to you, I have to ask you a question about it. And you said, okay, you're a friend. Go on. You
No,
can talk
I
about
didn't.
it.
We can read this.
And I said to you, Michael,
I
I've been
said,
defending you because
I do not want you to be disingenuous.
I'm not being disingenuous then.
Yes, you are.
I'm not accusing you of anything.
No, that's not what disingenuous means. Disingenuous means that you know the answer to this, and
I
you're
don't. That's why I'm
pretending,
asking you.
and
I'm
you
not.
pretending that you don't. You know how journalists get stories. I just went through this, so I won't repeat myself. But the relationship that we establish with sources is a complicated one, and I guess if you pulled the lens back, it would be in its details, the making of the sausage, a little embarrassing, but that's irrelevant to what you get from it. Do you get the story? Do you get an inside view, which I've supplied, of Jeffrey Epstein's life, his relationship to a whole set of people, not to mention, most fundamentally, Donald Trump?
Okay, Michael, listen to me. Give me a moment. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with everything that you have said right there. And I don't mean any disrespect. I look at you differently as a book writer who's trying to extract information from people. Then you have to gain their confidence in order to get that information. So I understand that. I'm not
Okay,
expecting from, but hold
okay.
on, let me finish in. I'm not expecting from your book or anything, some big J journalism. That's not what this is. So that's the conversation that we had. I don't think I'm being disingenuous with you, and I don't think I'm not putting you on the spot. I was actually ready to move on. That was my question, to move on to something else. That's one of those. And
Okay,
finally,
great.
all right. So that was and finally, is there anything that you would have done differently? No, I would not have done anything differently.
Okay, but
Thank you very
again,
much.
and let me say this, by asking the question, the assumption is that there might have been, that you probably think that there are areas that I should have done differently, and I just want to know what they are, and then I can say, oh no, that was.
Yeah. The only thing that I would even think of is the advice thing, and that's it. I mean, I have not dwelled on that much of what you have spoken about. I'm not reporting in depthly on this story. So that's it. That's it, Michael.
Okay.
All right. Are we cool? All right.
Cool.
So let's let's move on. I want to talk to you about let's see, there was something else that I wanted to discuss with you. About Donald Trump's reaction over the last couple of days by saying that this is a Democratic hoax and trying to get people to move on and away from this story. Um, uh, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana was on yesterday saying, I don't think that this story is going to go away at all. So do you think this is going to go by the wayside? Does this have the power to end Trump?
Well, two things. I'm always amazed by how much Donald Trump is able to distract from things that would have otherwise felled other politicians. But this story, the Epstein story, keeps coming back. He distracts from it, and then it comes back again and again and again. And I think I mean, I have always thought and have said that the reason is this story is fundamental to understanding Donald Trump, and that people realize that. That's why they want answers. What happened here? What is this? This is they were friends. And if they were friends, what did that involve? I mean, these are questions that not only don't go away, they really nag. So I think it's not going away. I think he will figure out something to distract from this, and then it will come back. Will it bring him down? I've spent so much time waiting for so many things to bring down Donald Trump, so many things that would seem evidently ready to bring him down. And here he is. So I'm not going to go. I'm not going to make that bet.
Have you ever weighed in on this possibility of a third term for Trump?
Yes. And I have two views. I don't. I mean, I think that the issue is that there is no legitimate way for Trump to have a third term. So he's not going to have a third term. And yet, having said that, the problem with authoritarians, as Trump is, or certainly is becoming, is that they break so many rules and make so many enemies that the only way they themselves can avoid retribution is to continue to hold power. So that's the exceptional, the exceptional end of the road situation. But in the normal world, no, I think that he will. He can't run for a third term. He won't run for a third term. What he will, however, do is whoever the Republican nominee is, he will undermine that person because he wouldn't be able to tolerate someone else, another Republican, being the president. And he will return to Mar-a-Lago still as the leader of the Republican Party and the king of Mar-a-Lago, and continue to act as the once and future president, which he will continue to do until he departs this vale of tears sooner, we hope, rather than later.
Anything that you didn't say, you can sack me out or whatever.
All good.
Michael Wolff, thank you. I appreciate it. Michael Wolff, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.